The gospel lesson this morning is from the 17th chapter of Matthew, verses 1 through 9. You can find it on page 18 in your pew Bible. 6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter and James and his brother John and led them up a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became dazzling white. Suddenly there appeared to them Moses and Elijah talking with him. And then Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will make 3 dwellings here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." And while he was still speaking, suddenly a bright cloud overshadowed them, and from the cloud a voice said, "This is my son, the beloved, with him I am well pleased. Listen to him." When the disciples heard this, they fell to the ground and were overcome by fear. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, "Get up and do not be afraid." And when they looked up, they saw no one except Jesus himself alone. So as they were coming down the mountain, Jesus ordered them, "Tell no one about the vision until after the Son of Man has been raised from the dead." Here ends the reading. Anyone ever seen the movie The Bucket List? All right. It came out about 7 years ago or so. Starred Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson. And for those of you who have not seen it, these two unlikely characters meet as they're being treated for cancer. They're laying in beds next to one another. And these two men come from very different places. Morgan Freeman, through a series of events, finds that though his heart desires to be a history teacher, he never makes it out of the body shop that he's working in. Married to the same woman his whole life, raising a family, he finds himself in this hospital room. And laying next to him, of course, is Jack. Jack plays a character, 4 times divorced, multimillionaire, lived a very different life. And so as they get to know each other, or as rather they get to not like each other very much, Carter, Morgan Freeman's character, begins to write his bucket list. Begins to write down all those things that he wants to do before he dies. And at the very top of his list, number 1 on his list, he wants to see something majestic. That is his most sincere desire before he dies, is to see something majestic. And so the film goes on from there, and if you've seen it, you know that they have many adventures. If you've not seen it, check it out. You can get it on Netflix. You can probably stream it on something else. It's worth a watch to see these two great actors interact with each other. But I want you to remember that what Carter wanted to see more than anything else was something majestic. He wanted to see something that would change him at the very core of his being. He wanted to be changed at his atom level. Something that would make him stop, take notice, and when it was over, he would never be the same. That's what he was looking for. That would have been the pinnacle of his life. And so we find ourselves on Transfiguration Sunday, the Sunday when Jesus took his friends up to the mountaintop, and they had this moment. They had an awe-inspiring moment. Moses and Elijah are there to talk with Jesus. The clouds part. They hear God's voice. We don't know if God sounded like Morgan Freeman in this, but perhaps it's possible. It's an amazing moment. It changes who they are. Peter is so blown away by this moment that he says that right there, with no tools and no supplies, he will build houses so they can stay there, and this can happen all the time. Think about those moments in your life. Those amazing moments, those moments that changed you as a person forever, those moments that you never wanted to end. Birth of a child, seeing the Grand Canyon for the first time, being in an airplane for the first time and seeing how vast the landscape is, seeing a sunset over the ocean. Maybe for some of us it was just seeing the ocean at all. Remember a few weeks ago I told you about my friend from Arizona, didn't see it until he was an adult. Scared the daylights out of him. We all have these moments, and for most of us, they're huge moments, big things. And they change us irreparably from who we were just seconds before, just like Peter and James. On that way down, they are not the same guys that they were on the way up. And so some of us spend our lives looking for these big moments. These times where the skies part. These times where we feel touched directly by the hand of God. But not all moments where we are changed are huge like that. Those are the ones that are easy to remember. Most of the time we have videos and pictures and other things like that to help us with those moments. We're ready for them, waiting as they come down towards us. But it's the small moments, too. The ones that are unexpected. The ones that don't make a great rush on their way in. That show up all the same. Those are also moments where we can find ourselves transfigured, changed irreparably by the hand of God. Interactions with people that we meet in our daily lives. A prayer that someone offers to pray for us. Moments on retreats, moments in Bible study, moments, I hope, right here occasionally. Those can be huge moments for us. Those moments where the light bulb goes off, where we have the aha moments, the wow, I never thought of it that way moments. Those are just as powerful as the huge balloons and candles moments in our lives. But we don't always think of them that way. We don't always remember them after they've happened. And so sometimes, friends, we miss those moments where God reaches out and touches us. Because we weren't prepared. We weren't ready. We didn't get set up. We didn't know. And we missed it. But we don't have to. We don't have to. We need not miss those moments. We just have to remember that they are happening all the time. Now, if you remember from school, taking multiple choice exams, all or always was rarely the right answer. I'm telling you, if you're surprised by this, we can talk later. It was rarely the right answer. But in this case, those moments where God reaches out to touch us in those small, still, seemingly insignificant moments of life happen all the time. They are always happening, whether we know it or not. So our jobs, friends, on this last Sunday before we begin the journey into Lent and on to Easter, is not only to remember that, but to actively seek them out, to look for them, to wait for them. Not just the big stuff, not just the stuff that you want to record and document and have forever, but those little moments too, those interactions between us, between other people. God is there.